All right, welcome back everyone to the evening portion of our meeting. I'm calling us back to order. This evening we are going to complete our work session and finish the hearing with public comment. So we have 11 bills now on work session, and we will open the work session and we'll start with AB 419 that we just heard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Christy Robusto, Policy Analyst, Legislative Council Bureau. For the record, as nonpartisan staff, I'm not here to advocate for issues. I'm here to assist members with policy issues brought forward to this committee. Our first bill on work session today is Assembly Bill 419, which was heard by the committee earlier this afternoon and establishes various provisions related to the sponsorship and governance of charter schools. There was one proposed conceptual amendment by Chair Bilbray Axelrod that was presented to the committee earlier this afternoon. There has been one change to that conceptual amendment, which is to remove Part 9 of the conceptual amendment for the committee's review. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Robusto. Before we take a motion, are there any questions on AB 419? Okay, I'm not seeing any, so I will take a motion to amend and do pass AB 419.
I'd move to amend and do pass.
Assemblywoman Nguyen has voted to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 419.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Second from Assemblywoman Torres. Any comments on the motion before we vote? Seeing none. I think we can do this all in one, so I will ask everyone on committee to unmute themselves, and all in favor of amend and do pass AB 419, say aye.
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 Opposed? AB 419 passes unanimously with all who are present, and I'm going to take that one myself, that floor statement. Next, we will go to Assembly Bill 19. Ms. Robusto.
Thank you, Chair. Assembly Bill 19, sponsored by the Assembly Committee on Ed on behalf of the Department of Education, was heard by the committee on February 16th. This bill changes what constitutes the academic subject social studies by removing government, including instead civics, financial literacy, and multicultural education. It exempts from procedural requirements for regulations making under the Nevada Administrative Procedure Act. It also requires that all regulations establishing standards of content and performance for the courses of study in public schools be removed from NAC. There are no amendments for this measure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Robusto. Before we take a motion, are there any questions on AB 19? Assemblywoman Torres.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Chair. And this one has really been a bill that I've wrestled through more than I think any other one that we've had this session, because I am 100% in favor of civics and financial literacy and multicultural education. And yet I've also really heard the concerns from our homeschooling community, and particularly and I teach multicultural communication in part in my studies. And, from a cultural communication standpoint, I recognize that for a lot of the homeschool culture, autonomy is really important. It's a core value for them. And so I understand their concerns. So I wondered if I could just correct my understanding on a couple of things and then ask the Department of Education a couple of clarifying questions.
I we have Sarah Nick from the Department of Ed on the line. So Sarah, if you want to turn on your camera, that would be great. Thanks.
Thank you. And so first, just confirming my understanding. So this is, essentially we're taking legislation that this body has passed, and I've even voted on some of these in the past, from 2015 and 2017, and we're putting that into the conforming language. And the process was that when we put that into the conforming language, that applied across the board to public schools, charter schools, private schools, and homeschools. And so when we put that conforming language in this bill, it wasn't that any particular group was intentionally left out. It was just that in order to keep it from a bifurcated system, it was put across the board. Is that correct?
Good evening, Chair Bilbray Axelrod and members of the Assembly Committee on Education. This is Sarah, analyst to the superintendent from the Nevada Department of Education. Thank you, Assemblywoman Torres. Yes, when the department worked with the governor's office for the pre-filed draft of Assembly Bill 19, it was meant to make conforming changes so that Nevada's school districts would see the core requirements. Again, those are the core subjects that are a part of social studies. And Chair Bilbray Axelrod, if we may, we even consulted with LCB legal staff who also shared prior precedents for such a conforming change.
And if legal would like to say anything on this, are you available?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Amanda Merced, Committee Council. Yes, Assemblywoman Torres, you're absolutely correct that this was done as a conforming change regarding the homeschool sections to keep the subjects that are contained within the designated core academic subjects consistent across public schools, charter schools, private schools, and homeschool.
And it's only because they're the core content. That's why we see that conforming across the board. We will not, every bill that we pass, all the legislative changes we pass aren't going to always be conforming. It's only because it was at that layer of the core content standard. That's why it's being spread across all those sections or all, all entities.
Madam Chair, Amanda Merced, Committee Council, again, that is correct.
Thank you. And then I just have, Madam Chair, with your indulgence, just two more questions that I think would be just really helpful. So the first question is just, again, back to that piece of autonomy that was expressed so strongly by those in the homeschool communities. Could you speak to what do we have in statute today about the autonomy around how homeschoolers implement this and in particular? And curriculum and so forth, and content and all of that. I just think that autonomy is so important.
Chair Bilbray Axelrod, this is Sarah Nick on behalf of the Department of Education. If you would like me to cite NRS, and of course I will defer to LCB legal at your discretion.
This is probably a good question for our legal.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Amanda Merced, Committee Council. So NRS 388D.050, which is Section 1 of AB 19, provides that a parent of a child who's being homeschooled must prepare an educational plan of instruction, which includes those core academic subjects, which as amended would be civics, financial literacy, and multicultural education, as appropriate for the age and level of the child. So it really just includes that educational plan has to include those subjects. It's pretty much silent as to at what age that's taught and what exactly that instruction entails. That's generally left up to the parent based on that educational plan. And if someone from the Department of Education wants to chime in on the more practical implications of that, that would certainly be okay as well. But that's what NRS provides regarding the homeschool.
Thank you very much. That answer your question, Assemblywoman Torres? You are on mute.
Thanks. Sorry. So yes, NRS 388D.050, and just pulling that up, you stopped just short of it's for the age and level of skill of the child as determined by the parent. So that is in statute that that autonomy piece is as determined by the parent. And I think you spoke to the rest. So the last question that I just have is, and this would be for the Department of Education specifically, just can you speak to that relationship with the homeschooling community, what the Department of Education has put in place currently, and hope to continue to put in place in the future to make sure that those conversations are collaborative moving forward?
Chair Bilbray Axelrod, this is Sarah Nick of the Nevada Department of Education for the record. Thank you, Assemblywoman Torres, for the question, and also thank you to LCB Legal and Ms. Marincic for citing 388D.050, which is the same NRS that the Department of Education uses to inform our collaboration as well as our intended future collaboration with Nevada's families who support homeschooling in their homes. And Assemblywoman Torres, you have also highlighted the two parts of NRS 388.050 that the department uses to inform its future and current collaboration with Nevada's homeschool families, which is that parents determine the best and most appropriate education for the age and level of skill of the child. Again, that's as determined by the parent. And that this section of NRS does not require a parent to ensure that each subject area is taught each year that the child is homeschooled. And this is the same NRS cited by Ms. Marincic, NRS 388D.050, and the department looks forward to future collaboration with Nevada's homeschool families, as I've had the pleasure of sharing with homeschool advocates during our legislative session.
Great, thank you. And do we have a point of contact in the Department of Education that's available for those continued conversations today?
Thank you, Chair Bilbray Axelrod. This is Sarah Nick of the Nevada Department of Education for the record. Chair Bilbray Axelrod, through you to Assemblywoman Torres. Yes, the department does have a point of contact for homeschool education. It is posted on our website. And for the department's legislative activity, I still serve as the contact. And for our Nevada families of homeschools who have been in contact with me regarding legislation, I am more than happy to put them in contact with our homeschool point of contact as well.
Much, and thank you, Madam Chair, for the indulgence of those questions. This has been just one of those ones with a lot of questions around it. And I think it was just really important to get those. And you did a good job, Madam Chair, in the original hearing. I know trying to answer some of these questions, I think it was important to just continue to go back to that, reiterate it, and then expand on it. So thank you for the indulgence.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Assemblywoman Krasner.
Oh, thank you, Chair Bilbray Axelrod. And thank you, Ms. Nick, for those clarifications. I also struggled with this because I care so much about civics, financial literacy, and multicultural education, but I really care about our homeschoolers and the homeschool community, and I know they do care about their autonomy, and I respect that and appreciate that. But now that I know that Section 388 D.050 is there, and the age and the level and skill of the child, and whether those classes should and when they should be taught is still going to be determined by the parent, I feel much more at ease. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments from the committee before I take a motion? Okay, with that, I will take Assemblywoman Hardy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This too has been one that has really been tough for me. I've gone back and forth and just tried to get as much information from all the different parties and those affected. And so I appreciate legal and Ms. Nick being on here and to further clarifying what this bill is actually doing. And, it was very important to me too that the homeschoolers, those parents have the autonomy for their kids. They know those kids best, is how to teach these subjects. And so I appreciate the clarification on this, and I feel much better about it. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay, with Assemblywoman Hanson.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I was going to wait and you were going to give us an opportunity after the motion, so maybe I better just do it now so we can move on. I know we're all tired. So yes, we've all struggled with this, and I completely support those subjects. And I've just got concerns. I am going to be a no, but I do appreciate the clarifications. I'm balancing my concern, yes, autonomy, but the culture of homeschooling and having homeschooled myself at some point, and listening to the concerns of the homeschooling community and the process before we got to this bill, and the engagement just really wasn't there much. And, you know, I've got over 1,400 in opposition to 80 in support. So my gut right now, I have to go no. I was hoping we would amend out homeschooling in deference to their culture of autonomy. And I know we didn't get that. So I do appreciate the opportunity to get this on the record, and I appreciate the Department of Ed being here. And thank you for the opportunity to get this on the record.
Thank you. Any other comments? Going once, going twice. I will take a motion to do pass Assembly Bill 19.
So moved.
We have a so moved from Vice Chair Miller. Second.
Second, Assemblywoman Torres.
From Assemblywoman Torres. We are going to do a roll call vote for this one. Madam Secretary, would you perform a roll call vote?
Assemblywoman Duran,
Yes.
Assemblyman Flores,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Gorlow,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Hanson,
No.
Assemblywoman Hardy,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Krasner,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Marzola, excuse me,
Yes.
Assemblyman MacArthur,
No.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Nguyen,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Torres,
Yes.
Chair Bilbray Axelrod.
Yes. Motion passes with 2 nays. I will assign this floor statement to Assemblywoman Torres. Okay, next we have Assembly Bill 231. Ms. Robusto?
Assembly Bill 231, sponsored by Assembly Members Cohen and Krasner, heard by the committee on April 1st, requires the Governor's Advisory Council on Education to perform additional duties related to education on the Holocaust and other genocides, as outlined for the committee. The council to establish academic standards for public schools may establish standards of content and performance for instruction in the Holocaust and other genocides. The bill establishes the account for instruction on Holocaust and other genocides and requires that the funds be expended for the purpose of providing instruction on such topics, and requires the State Board of Education to appoint a subcommittee to study curriculum on instruction of the Holocaust and other genocides during the interim and provide subcommittee composition and study requirements. There is one proposed amendment by Assemblywoman Cohen, which does the following. It deletes sections 1 through 4 of the original bill and revises section 5 so that it would create a subcommittee under the State Board of Education to study the best ways in which to provide age-appropriate and historically accurate instruction about the Holocaust and other genocide. The mock-up is presented for the committee on the following page. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Robusto. Before we take a motion, are there any questions on Assembly Bill 231? Not seeing any questions, so I will take a motion to do pass. Oh, I'm sorry, amend and do pass. Assemblywoman Krasner has made the
Yes,
motion.
motion to amend and do pass.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. Assemblywoman Nguyen.
Assemblywoman Nguyen has made the second. I believe we can probably do this all in just unmuting ourselves. So all in favor of amending and do passing AB 231, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Motion passes unanimously, and I will give that floor statement to Assemblywoman Krasner. Next, we have Assembly Bill 224. Ms. Robusto?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 224, sponsored by Assemblymember Duran and heard by the committee on April 6th, requires that pupils at a public middle school, high school, junior high, and charter school be provided feminine hygiene products in the school bathroom at no cost to the pupil. It requires that the Board of Trustees or the governing bodies, as applicable, develop a plan to address the lack of access to these products due to affordability and provide equal access to such products and submit a report to the director of the LCB. It also requires an evaluation of access to these products be included in the school's annual report of accountability. There are two proposed amendments. The first was presented to the committee on April 6th, which does the following: changes the terminology from feminine hygiene products to menstrual products throughout the bill, and authorizes the acceptance of gifts, grants, or donations. There is an addendum that is also posted on Nellis to the work session document for an amendment that revises the bill such that it would propose a 2-year pilot program whereby a minimum of 25% of the schools must provide menstrual products at no cost inside girls' bathrooms by or before January 1 of 2022 for the school years that are stipulated in the amendment. It also requires that by January 1, 2022, these schools provide 2 dispensers stocked with such products at no cost to pupils in 2 bathrooms, 1 dispenser per bathroom. And it requires the appointment of a committee to evaluate progress on completing a goal of providing these products at no cost for pupils inside these bathrooms by or before the end of the 82nd legislative session. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Robusto. And I will. I'm sorry. Hello. I will say that the conceptual amendment on there is not quite right. It's generally what the intent was, but as members may know, we can't actually say people's names, name people's names. So we'll have an appointed committee, which is what Ms. Robusto led to, but I just didn't want you to be confused if you looked at that conceptual amendment. So with that, I will take a motion to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 224.
Move to amend and do pass.
Assemblywoman Nguyen has made the motion to amend and do pass. Assemblywoman Torres has made the second. Any discussion on the bill? Yes. Assemblywoman Nguyen.
I guess it's more of a comment, but I see Ms. Glover on here, and I'm just so excited to be able to vote this out of this committee here today, and thank her for being a part of this process as well as being here today during this work session.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Nguyen. And yes, you made the news, Ms. Glover, as did you, Assemblywoman Nguyen. So congratulations. And oh, we've got lots of comments. Okay. We're never getting out of here because Ms. Glover joined. Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I too can't let this moment pass without saying thank you so much for bringing this legislation forward and advocating so eloquently, and also bringing awareness to the fact that this is very real still within our state. And I actually was very aware and was, I have 2 teenage daughters, and we were actually going to go do a girls' camp in Uganda for teenage girls who the average age that they drop out of high school is 13, drop out of school is 12 or 13 when they start their periods, and then they never go back because of this issue. And I think that what you did was bring to our awareness that this is not in just other countries, that we have these barriers for our girls here in Nevada, and that we are providing a very real solution for them. And so as a woman, as a mother of 2 daughters, as somebody who is so incredibly impressed and proud of how you've advocated for this, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Torres. I will say that there's a good chance if we go too long that I am going to have to recess the meeting for a minute, go back over to revenue to re-vote on a work session. So I know we all want to make comments, and because we all love Samantha Glover, but just pointing that out. So maybe we can just all give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and take a vote. I think we can just do it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Glover, and Assemblywoman Duran, you can have that floor statement. Next bill is AB 235. Ms. Robusto?
Thank you, Chair. Assembly Bill 235, sponsored by Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, heard by the committee on April 6th, requires school districts and charter schools and the private schools that operate a high school provide education to pupils on the importance of financial planning and completing the FAFSA, requires them to provide information on events for completing or receiving help to complete the FAFSA, to do at least 2 annual events with regard to completing the FAFSA, and coordinating with community college, state college, and universities to ensure they receive support completing the FAFSA. The bill also requires that the Board of Trustees and governing bodies of the schools report to the state treasurer on attendance at such events and FAFSA assistance. There is one proposed amendment submitted by Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, which does the following: provides for the inclusion of information on financial aid for deferred action for for DACA pupils in section 1A. It specifies high school as appropriate throughout the bill, revises when the 2nd annual event must be held, and provides additional clarifying language. The conceptual amendment is provided on the next page for the committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have any, I'm sorry. With that, I would take a motion to amend and do pass Bill AB 235.
So moved, Assemblywoman Torres.
Assemblywoman Torres has made the motion to amend and do pass. Do I have a second?
I would second, Assemblywoman Nguyen.
Nguyen, I think we have a thing going here with you two. All right. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Assemblywoman Hanson.
Sorry, I'll make it quick. And I appreciate the intent. I'm going to have to be a no at this point. Some of my counties are impacted on a fiscal note, and some of this is just an extra burden for the administrations. And I would like to see maybe another path to this. So at this point, I have to be a no. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? Okay, we will once again just do the everyone unmute themselves, and I will say all in favor of a amend and do pass Bill AB 235, say yay.
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 Aye.
And those opposed, say no.
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 Okay, thank you. So motion does pass with all members, with the exception of Assemblywoman Krasner, Hanson, and MacArthur, who voted no on the measure. Thank you. We will go to Assembly Bill 266. Oh, sorry, I forgot to assign. I will give that to Assemblywoman Hardy. Next, go ahead, Ms. Robusto, Assembly Bill 266.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 266, sponsored by Assembly members Brittany Miller and Anderson, heard by the committee on April 6th, prohibits administrators and other licensed educational personnel, including those specified who may be present in a classroom but do not teach every pupil in the classroom, from being counted in determining the teacher to pupil ratio. The bill also requires the Board of Trustees, to the extent that funds are available, to determine the number of job vacancies in the school district based on certain specified requirements and recommendations for teacher to pupil ratio, and requires that related information be posted on the Board of Trustees website. The bill requires a person evaluating a teacher responsible for a class size exceeding ratio recommendations to use the self-rating provided by the teacher, and that the teacher provide rationale for such self-ratings. There are 3 proposed amendments for this measure. The first comes from Assemblywoman Miller, which adds that the number of substitute teachers filling vacancies or long-term positions be reported by NDE. It revises the way that the teacher pupil ratios are calculated. It clarifies that only the Board of Trustees of a school district is exceeding class size recommendations develop a strategic plan and present on progress. And it revises information that must be posted on the websites. The second proposed amendment is from Clark County Education Association, and outlines as in the document that it include school nurses, psychologists, and counselors in section 2, subsection 2B, clarifies the inclusion of national standards from a designated licensure body as relevant, requires the teacher evaluations include additional class size equivalent weighting from 3 specific indicators, and revises section 4, subsection 2B. The final proposed amendment comes from NDE, which revises provisions related to section 4, subsection 2F to apply to the evaluations as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Robusto. Can I get a motion to amend and to pass AB 266?
Assemblywoman Torres.
Assemblywoman Torres has made the motion to amend and to pass. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Assemblywoman Nguyen has made the second. Any discussion on the motion? Assemblywoman.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge my colleague, the sponsor of this this legislation, our Vice Chair Miller, for always just being such a good, strong advocate on class size and a leading voice. And just say for the record that I have always appreciated that and agree and resonate with that. And there's one section that I'm just not comfortable with the evaluation, and so I'm going to be a no, but with much appreciation for the other sections and for the efforts and the leadership and the voice that our Vice Chair has on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And we will not see any other hands, so we will go ahead. We're going to do, okay, Assemblywoman Krasner.
Thank you, Chair Bilbray Axelrod. I have some concerns too, but I do want to continue talking to the sponsor. So I'm going to vote yes to get this out of committee and reserve my right to change my vote to floor. Thank you.
Thank you. And as a reminder to committee members, you always have the right to change your vote on the floor, but just please let myself know and the sponsor of the bill if that is your intention. With that, I will have Madam Secretary do a roll call vote on this bill, AB 266.
Assemblywoman Duran,
Yes.
Assemblyman Flores,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Gorlow,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Hanson,
No.
Assemblywoman Hardy,
No.
Assemblywoman Krasner,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Marzola,
Yes.
Assemblyman MacArthur,
No.
Assemblywoman Miller,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Nguyen,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Tolles,
No.
Assemblywoman Torres,
Yes.
Chair Bilbray Axelrod.
Yes, and motion passes with 9 yeses and 4 nos. I will assign that floor statement to the bill sponsor, Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 319, sponsored by Assemblyman Roberts, heard by the committee on March 25th, requires the College of Southern Nevada to enter into one or more cooperative agreements in accordance with existing law to create and administer a 2-year pilot program for enhanced opportunities for pupils to enroll in dual credit courses through specific models and specifically aiming to target certain pupil groups. The provisions include that the cooperative agreement is outlined as specified in the bill, and it authorizes CSN to apply for and accept any gift, donation, bequest, grant, or other source of funding to carry out the pilot program. And finally, CSN and the entity in the cooperative agreement must submit a report containing certain information about the pilot program as provided in the document. There is one conceptual amendment presented by Assemblyman Roberts, which adds a primary co-sponsor, Assemblywoman Sandra Hardy, to the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And with that, I will take a motion to amend and do pass.
I will make a motion to amend and do pass.
Nguyen has made the motion to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 319. Do we have a second from Assemblywoman Torres? I'm just kidding. Assemblywoman Torres has made the second. Any discussion on the bill? All right, we will do, everyone turn on their microphones and we are going to do it like this. All in favor to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 319, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion almost passes unanimously other than Mr. MacArthur, Assemblyman MacArthur. Thank you. And I will give that floor statement to Assemblywoman Nguyen. Next bill is Assembly Bill 353. Ms. Robusto. Oh, that's wrong. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I'm going off of the next bill is AB 384. Ms. Robusto.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 384, sponsored by Assemblymember Torres, heard by the committee on April 6th, authorizes the Board of Regents to appoint researchers employed at Nevada System of Higher Ed to develop a climate survey on sexual misconduct and require NSHE institutions to conduct such survey. It also authorizes the Board of Regents to require NSHE institutions to meet multiple provisions related to the sexual misconduct climate study, including certain requirements regarding training personnel, providing policies to reporters, meeting certain timelines related to the grievance process, adopting policies on sexual misconduct, entering into memorandums of understanding with organizations that assist victims of sexual misconduct, providing training on grievance process and programming on the awareness of prevention and sexual misconduct, conducting investigations and holding hearings, requiring and trying to provide for appropriate confidentiality and reporting on certain information related to sexual misconduct. The bill also prohibits NSHE institutions from sanctioning a reporting party or witness to such incidents, authorizes students who have experienced the sexual misconduct to seek a waiver from certain requirements and activities, authorizes the Board of Regents to impose a fine, and requires the Board of Regents to compile and submit certain reports. There are two proposed amendments to this measure. The first provides a summary from NSHE, as you can see bulleted out for the committee, a summary of the NSHE amendment, which adds existing definitions to Title IX. It amends definitions of trauma-informed responses to clarify understanding in sections 12, 13, and 14. It provides actions to the extent money is available, and it amends certain provisions. It outlines replacement of existing considerations in section 25 and deletes certain subsections. Additionally, there's a new section provided for NSHE to enter into a memorandum of understanding. The second proposed amendment comes from Assemblywoman Torres, which is to add co-sponsors to the bill as provided on the document. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Robusto. With that, I will take a motion to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 384.
I've moved to amend and do pass.
Second.
Has made a motion to amend and do pass. Assemblywoman Duran has made the second. Any comments on comments on the motion? Seeing none, I think we can do a roll call, or not a roll call, turn off your microphones, vote. So everyone turn off their mics. All in favor of amending and do passing AB384, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. I will give the floor statement to Assemblywoman Torres. The next bill on work session, we're almost there, guys, is AB 415. Ms. Robusto.
Thank you, Chair. Assembly Bill 415, sponsored by the Assembly Committee on Education, heard by the committee on April 6th, directs the LCE to conduct an interim study regarding the statewide system of accountability for public schools, requires the LCE to consult with certain persons with certain expertise and experience, and outlines what the study needs to include there, and then finally allows for making recommendations concerning any matters relating to the study. There are no amendments for this measure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Committee member. Oh, first I will take a motion to do pass.
I'd make a motion to do pass.
Assemblywoman Wynn makes motion to pass, and Torres makes the second. Are there any comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, I will have everyone turn on their mics. All in favor of do pass Assembly Bill 415, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. And I will take that floor statement. Last but not least, we have Assembly Bill 418. Oh, and congratulations, Ms. Barr. I was on there. She did a great job helping me present, or really presenting. Next bill we have is Assembly Bill 418. It is amend and do pass, and I will give it over to Ms. Robusto.
Assembly Bill 418, sponsored by the Assembly Committee on Ed on behalf of the Legislative Committee on Education, heard by this committee on April 6th, requires NDE in consultation with the task force to develop, implement, and analyze results of an exit study for teachers and other licensed personnel. The bill requires the Board of Trustees of a school district to administer the exit survey and report any information received to NDE annually. And NDE needs to review the data and provide improvement recommendations. This information needs to be transmitted to the LCE in non-legislative years, or the director of the LCB during legislative years. There's one proposed amendment to the measure on behalf of NDE, which provides additional clarifying language related to developing, implementing, analyzing, and reporting on exit surveys. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Robusto. And I would take a motion to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 418.
I move to amend and do pass 418.
Vice Chair Miller has made the motion to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 418. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Assemblywoman Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? If everyone could unmute their microphones. All in favor of amend and do pass AB 418, say aye or yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yay.
Yay.
Yes.
Those opposed, say no.
No.
Motion passes with everyone except Assemblyman MacArthur voting yay, MacArthur voting no. All right, I will sign that floor statement to Assemblyman Gorlow. Well, we've made it, I believe. All we're going to do is public comment. I'm not sure if we have any public comment, but if we do, if you're on the line, just a reminder to you have 2 minutes. Clearly state your name, and you may begin. Broadcast. Do we have anyone in the queue for public comment?
To join the queue for public comment, please press 9 now. Caller with the last 3 digits of 408. Please press *6 to unmute. You have 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name for the record, and you may begin.
Tim Ranzetta, that's spelled Ranzetta. I appreciate the opportunity today to provide testimony in support of Nevada Assembly Bill 19, which among other things designates financial literacy as a core academic subject to be taught in all public schools. My name is Tim Ranzetta. I'm the co-founder of NextGen Personal Finance. We're a nonprofit focused on financial education in schools. Our curriculum is currently used by 50,000 educators in all 50 states, including 576 people. Lorney, she is a real gem. She's at the Nevada Department of Education, who among her responsibilities is an incredible advocate for financial education in your state. She really knows how to get things done. So similar to Nevada with this bill, we see incredible momentum behind financial education like we've never seen before in this country. We are currently tracking 25 state legislatures with bills very similar in content to Assembly Bill 19. Similar to Nevada, I think many states have suffered through a year of COVID-19, which in addition to being a health crisis has delivered an economic one on top of it with significant job losses. I know that's been the case in Nevada. There's 2 things I want you to remember from my testimony today. First of all, who gets access to financial education is a social justice issue. Our research finds that only 5% of students currently attend a school in Nevada that guarantees they'll take a 1-semester course. So by passing AB 19, you're going to ensure the other 95% will receive this essential course, and that zip code is not destiny when it comes to financial education. Secondly, Nevada teachers are up to the challenge. They are ready to teach this course. Our research
just
again.
out of time for your comments, and I really appreciate them. But I do have to say, because everyone on our committee is cringing because we pronounce it Nevada, and we are very, very passionate about that. So
that is a big error on my part. My apologies.
Because I said it like 15 times.
Blame the East Coast. Blame the East Coast guy.
We appreciate the comments, but we do have to move on to the next caller in public comment. But thank you very much. Next caller for public comment, but I will remind you that this is just sort of general nature of what's in the committee purview, that bills that have already been heard and sent out of committee are not really technically public comment. But next caller, public comment.
To join the queue for public comment, please press *9 now. Chair, the line is open and working. However, there are no callers on the line for public comment at this time.
Thank you very much, Broadcast Services. And thank you to all our committee members. We're almost there, but we're not quite there. As you probably realize, we did have a bill referred to us, and we have to hear that tomorrow. So I'm trying to figure out when that's going to be. I think it should be a pretty brief bill, and then we will hopefully work session it if we're in agreement. Depending on how long I'm going to put Assemblywoman Torres on the spot, how long Government Affairs goes in the morning. I know they have 3 bills and 10 work sessions. If we can get in, probably not before floor, but floor is going to be short. So maybe if we end at like noon, we could get in before, because I know most of you, show your hands if you have a 1 o'clock meeting tomorrow. Yeah, so we would not have a quorum, and we're going to work session anyway. So just know that if we get done with floor by noon, we will jump in really, really quick and try to have this hearing. Otherwise, I know we don't want to do this, but it's going to probably be after afternoon committees. So sorry, I really tried to not have a meeting tomorrow, but the governor sent us a bill. So With that, I thank everyone, our committee staff. You guys are rock stars, broadcast services, all the people who testified this week. It's just been a whirlwind, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being such amazing folks. So with that, we are about to adjourn, and I will see you tomorrow at Call of the Chair. We are adjourned.